Hi, today's topic is brands and marketing. There are many misconceptions in the marketplace about what's what. So let's consider what is an asset and what is an activity. Brands are intangible assets where marketing is an expense or activity. So today we're going to look at brands or branding and also marketing. So let's examine brands first and see where they fit in the scheme of things. Brands are an intangible asset and part of the overall value of goodwill, which is based on sales activity. Then we need to ask ourselves, can brands be identified, measured and proven? The answer is yes. So let's consider some examples. Brands are created through sales activity via marketing, but generally are not a standalone asset. Most believe that the value of a brand is based on net present value of future revenue streams. That is rubbish. You must know the future value before you ever proceed, and no one can predict that. You also need to know what risk rate and what economic life of the business will be before you proceed. And that can only be found by the interpretation of market activity. If you cannot value an asset today, you will never improve your valuation by trying to predict the future. So let's discover why. Can anyone predict the future value, what the future value will be? No. That is modern day fortune telling. Can anyone predict what the revenue into the future will be? No, that is rubbish. Can anyone predict gross profit margins into the future? No, that is rubbish. Can anyone predict what future expenses will be? No, that is rubbish. Can anyone predict what interest rates will be? No, that is rubbish. Now, some capitalize revenue in perpetuity. Now that is absolute rubbish. If people want to deceive themselves, let them. My aim is to tell a more realistic approach. It is called the price mechanism. It is derived from economic theory, and it is a system of price determination and allocation of goods and services by free market forces, based on supply and demand theory, and it is confirmed and proven by completed sales in the marketplace. So what creates brand value? It is a percentage of the overall goodwill intangible asset created by sales in the marketplace. So let's consider an example of how to place a value on a brand. Let's take a bottle of wine and work out how to value the brand behind the product. Let's assume you have a bottle of wine that sells for 10% above market price of most similar brands. One sells for $20, the other for $22. Assume this business has a turnover of $1 million. So if the overall goodwill value of the business is 50 cents in the dollar or 500,000 K, then the value of the brand is 10% of that. Therefore, for every dollar achieved in the marketplace, 5 cents can be applied to brand value, i.e. 1 million in sales indicates 50,000 in brand value. This indicates a superior wine and that the branding can achieve a higher price in the marketplace, and that is very similar to products such as Rolex watches, Mercedes-Benz cars. But does the branding have a value of its own? The answer is generally no. No buyer wants to buy a brand or a name on its own. If the market stops buying Rolex watches, what happens to the brand? It goes down with the value of the product sales in the marketplace. At this point, it may also be beneficial to introduce the concept of intrinsic value or premium payments that exist when sales occur due to emotional motivations or perceptions of value based on irrational forces such as economies of scale or synergistic benefits which may never materialise. Can brands or reputations be damaged? Yes, of course. But is it self-inflicted through poor management or external, caused by some event? Firstly, how is brand value created? Is a brand that is older more valuable than one that is fairly new? Economically speaking, no. Given the scenario on your screen, which business is worth more? Careful, all of those that said business A perceive that it is less risky than business B. However, there is no economic reason whatsoever that business A is worth more than business B. It's sales activity in the marketplace that creates value. What creates the difference between superior goods and services from average goods and services? What makes it possible for one firm to achieve sales at a higher price, whereas an average business or firm is unable to achieve higher prices? Graphs are timelines that tell detailed stories that will benefit many from making bad decisions. There is a saying I once heard, look at the past to tell the future. How is brand value destroyed or impaired? Simple. If sales decline in the marketplace, so does the brand value. It cannot create value or cash flows on its own. It is dependent on management and other assets. Most intangible assets never follow a linear path. Market movements, both macro and micro, always influence cash flow, both up and down. The only benefit any investor could use is the ability to predict the economic life of an asset. But since no one is able to do that, why would you rely on a valuation by someone who claims to be able to do so? Remember the 98% that use that method? Now, this brings us to marketing. I believe all marketing can be measured, and the benefits or lack of them can be plotted. Now, I understand the argument that is promoted it's not always about price, but I am more interested in measurement and benefits achieved in the marketplace. That is where value is found and increased. The best marketing is the one that can lift sales and maintain them. Understanding business statistics and knowing that only 5% know how to create turnover should indicate there are many false promises out there. Please see Chapter 2 of my book. When dealing with intangible assets, it is always beneficial to consider the substitution effect to negate high valuations, or to employ the funnel effect to determine the most probable scenario given the task at hand. That concludes today's presentation, and all of the above can be found in my book. I hope you get your copy soon. Thank you very much.